There is a truth we all try to run from, but it follows us everywhere. Nobody is coming to save you. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when the timing feels perfect. The turning point in your life will only arrive when you stop scattering your energy outward and start directing it inward. When you make the choice to focus on yourself with the same urgency you once placed on waiting for someone else to believe in you. The Stoics understood this well. Your freedom, your growth, your strength, they all begin the moment you take ownership of your own path. Because the harshest reality is also the most liberating. The life you dream of is already in your hands, if you dare to commit to yourself. And if this message resonates with you, if you're ready to live with clarity and unshakable strength, consider subscribing for you. Think of it as your quiet vow to stay aligned with wisdom, to grow daily, and to walk the Stoic path of discipline, resilience, and inner power. Think about it. How many times have you delayed your future waiting for the perfect moment? Waiting for support, for validation, for someone to say, "You've got this." The truth is hard, but unavoidable. Nobody is coming to hand you the life you want. Nobody is coming to give you permission to live differently. If you don't decide to build yourself, nobody will. And yet, we trick ourselves into thinking that tomorrow will be different, that somehow the right opportunity will fall into our hands without us having to move first. But as Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Time is not endless, and waiting is one of the quietest ways we waste it. Every day spent postponing what matters is a day lost forever, and deep down, you know this. The weight of wasted time doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly. It's in the restless feeling at night when you realize another day has passed and nothing meaningful has moved forward. It's in the way dreams start to feel distant, not because they're impossible, but because you've let them fade under the noise of excuses. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is not about grand declarations. It is about small, steady acts of self-discipline. The problem is not that we don't know what we should do. It's that we rarely act on it with the urgency life demands. We often wait because we fear failure, but failure is not the true enemy. Failure is the evidence of effort. Carl Jung wrote, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved but only outgrown." What does this mean? It means that you don't overcome failure by avoiding it, but by growing stronger through it. Failure is not a wall, it is a teacher. The harshest truth is that the real danger isn't falling short, it's never beginning at all. Every time you hold back out of fear, you're building a habit of hesitation, and hesitation becomes the silent killer of potential. But distraction is just as dangerous as fear. You already know how easy it is to lose hours scrolling, comparing, consuming things that add nothing to your life. That time doesn't just vanish. It builds a life you didn't choose, brick by brick. Seneca warned us, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Every distraction steals a part of your future, a piece of the life you could have built. It's not harmless, it is theft. And unless you reclaim your attention, the best parts of you will wither under the weight of meaningless noise. Imagine what would happen if you gave yourself back even half of that wasted energy. Imagine replacing comparison with action, replacing distraction with discipline. What kind of person would you become if every hour became an investment rather than a loss? That's what focus does. It compounds. Just as money compounds into wealth when you invest it, your focus compounds into strength, knowledge, and character when you protect it. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your habits are either compounding for you or against you, and every small choice adds up. It's not easy, of course. The world does not reward silence and focus. It demands your attention at every turn, pulling you in 1,000 directions. Every ping, every notification, every whisper of someone else's opinion tries to invade your mind. But your mind is sacred. You must learn to stand guard at its gates. Plato observed, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." Guarding your focus, choosing where your energy goes, is the most powerful form of self-mastery. If you can't rule your own attention, someone else will. The more you protect your focus, the clearer your path becomes. You stop chasing approval and wasting time explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision. You stop diluting your goals just to fit into someone else's limited imagination. When you choose to focus fully on building yourself, you free yourself from the endless cycle of living for others. Socrates believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. What he meant is simple. If you don't step back and claim your own path, you will unknowingly spend your life on someone else's. Yet even when you have clarity, there will be days when you feel like quitting, days when the work seems endless and the results invisible. These moments aren't signs that you're on the wrong path. They're the very moments that define it. Courage isn't about moving without fear. It's about moving with fear still clinging to you. It's about rising when comfort whispers for you to stop. Because comfort lies, comfort promises relief but robs you of progress. And every time you choose comfort over growth, you move further from the life you claim to want. That is why persistence matters more than inspiration. Anyone can take the first step when excitement is fresh. Few can keep walking when the road is long and silent. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Without persistence, your vision is fragile. With it, even storms can't break you. You must remind yourself that the invisible seasons, the times when growth is happening but results are hidden, are the very seasons where character is forged. Seeds grow roots long before they break the surface. Your growth is no different. But trust is necessary. Trust in your own process. Trust in the unseen. Many people give up not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked patience. They abandoned their dreams during the quiet stretches when nothing seemed to move. Yet progress is often silent. Jung believed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That becoming does not happen overnight. It unfolds gradually through every disciplined choice, every act of courage, every small victory against yourself. Over time, something remarkable happens. When you consistently choose to focus on yourself, everything around you shifts. Your confidence grows. Your relationships improve because you no longer depend on others for validation. Your health stabilizes, your vision sharpens, your energy renews. External life follows internal discipline. It always begins within. And one day you'll realize the win wasn't the final achievement. It wasn't the job, the money, or the recognition. The true prize was who you became along the way. Someone who doesn't quit at the first sign of struggle. Someone who doesn't bend to every opinion. Someone who trusts their own strength fully. That is the essence of focusing on you until you win. Because the real victory is becoming unshakable, becoming someone you yourself can rely on. So think about it again. How many times have you delayed your future waiting for the perfect moment? The perfect moment will never come. The only moment that matters is now. Today is the day you begin building yourself, brick by brick, choice by choice. As Epictetus said, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? The answer should be simple, not another day. But why do we wait? because deep down we fear what might happen if we step forward and fail. We fear rejection, the sting of not being good enough, the eyes of others watching when we stumble. That fear burns quietly inside, convincing us that staying still is safer than trying. Yet history and philosophy both tell us the same thing. Failure is not your enemy, it is your greatest teacher. Every rejection is like a weight added to the barbell of your resilience. At first it feels heavy, it makes you shake, it threatens to crush you. But each time you lift it, you grow stronger. The very resistance you dread is the force that will carve you into someone unbreakable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in his meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What feels like an obstacle today is, in truth, the path itself. The problem is that our culture has turned failure into something to be ashamed of, when in reality it is the raw material of wisdom. A person who has never failed has also never tried. Every time you stumble, you gain knowledge, you uncover blind spots, you learn what doesn't work and what still might. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." The setbacks you avoid out of fear are the very experiences that could shape you into someone capable of carrying heavier loads tomorrow. By trying to protect yourself from rejection, you rob yourself of the training that creates resilience. Carl Jung offered a deeper psychological insight into this truth when he said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Failure is an event, not an identity. It is not the sum of who you are. It is only one step in the process of becoming. But when fear governs your choices, you mistake moments for definitions. You begin to tell yourself that because you failed once, you are a failure. That because you were rejected, you are unworthy. Yet failure only shapes you if you stop moving. If you keep growing, failure transforms into strength, rejection into clarity, pain into endurance. We often forget that fear is a trick of the mind. Epictetus told his students, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." Fear doesn't come from failure itself, but from the meaning you attach to it. Two people can face the same rejection. One sees it as the end, the other as a test. The second person grows, while the first shrinks. Your perspective decides whether a fall becomes a wound or a lesson. And when you realize that, fear loses its grip. Because you see clearly that every stumble is not the end of your story, it's the sharpening of your blade. Think of failure as the fire that tempers steel. Without heat, metal remains soft and breakable, but exposed to flames, struck repeatedly, it becomes unyielding. You are no different. Life will strike you, rejection will burn you, failure will bruise you. But it is precisely through those experiences that your character is forged. Plato once said, "Courage is knowing what not to fear." If you can learn to stop fearing failure and start embracing it as the forge of your becoming, you will see that it was never the enemy. It was the training ground. And yet, most people never reach this understanding because they choose avoidance over growth. They spend years waiting for conditions to be safe before acting. They dream of writing the book, starting the business, pursuing the passion, but hold back, telling themselves they'll begin when they're ready. The truth? Readiness never comes. You don't become ready and then begin. You begin, and readiness is built along the way. There is a strange kind of freedom in embracing this truth. Once you stop running from failure, its power over you dissolves. You begin to act boldly, knowing that even if you fall, you will rise sharper than before. You start to see rejection not as humiliation, but as redirection, guiding you toward the place where you truly belong. You stop being paralyzed by what others think because you realize that those who never try will always find a way to judge those who do. but their judgment cannot weigh more than your growth. Their opinion cannot be the measure of your future. The Stoics lived by this principle of inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Rejection, failure, criticism, these are outside events. They are beyond your full control. What you do control is how you respond to them, how you interpret them, how you let them shape you. If you choose to see every failure as the building of resilience, you take back your power. Nothing outside of you can truly defeat you unless you hand over your response. So the real question is not whether you will fail. You will. The question is whether you will allow failure to bury you or to build you. Will you see rejection as proof you should stop, or as proof you are daring to stretch beyond your limits? Will you let the opinions of others bind you, or will you remember that every philosopher worth reading, every thinker who changed the world, was once dismissed as foolish? The choice is always yours. Failure is not the final chapter. It is the beginning of a better one, written by someone who has scars, but also wisdom, someone who knows the taste of falling, but also the discipline of rising. And every rise makes the next fall less frightening. Every setback makes the next step bolder. This is how resilience is built, not in imagining a life without obstacles, but in deciding that no obstacle will end your pursuit. So don't wait any longer for the perfect moment. It will never arrive. Don't waste another day waiting for permission that will never come. Begin now, while you are uncertain, while you are afraid, while you are unready, because fear will always be there, whispering its lies. But you are stronger than those whispers, and once you prove it to yourself, failure loses its fangs and becomes fuel. The harsh reality is that life will test you, over and over. But the gift hidden in those tests is that each one offers you the chance to become unshakable. If you choose it, failure can be the fire that forges you into someone who no longer waits, no longer fears, and no longer doubts that growth is always possible. So the real danger isn't falling short. It's distraction. Falling short at least means you tried. It means you entered the arena, took a step, and tested yourself. Distraction, on the other hand, is silent theft. It doesn't feel like much in the moment. Just a quick scroll, a glance at someone else's life, another piece of noise you let in. But add those moments together and you'll see the truth. Distraction drains your most precious resource, your attention. And when your attention is scattered, your life is scattered. Every hour you give away to meaningless comparison or shallow entertainment is an hour stolen from the future you could have built. What makes distraction dangerous is how invisible it feels. Failure you can see, pain you can feel, but distraction slides by unnoticed, disguising itself as harmless. And yet, it may be the biggest reason people never reach their potential. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Distraction is exactly that. An unconscious pattern you keep repeating, a quiet thief shaping your destiny while you tell yourself it's just a way to pass time. But your time is your life. To waste it is to surrender the one thing you cannot replace. Think about how much energy is lost when you spend your hours comparing yourself to others. You scroll through the highlights of their lives, convincing yourself you're behind, forgetting that what you're seeing is a polished illusion. Comparison distracts you from the only life you can actually shape, your own. Epictetus gave us the remedy for this when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Don't waste yourself trying to keep up with others or prove yourself to those who don't matter. If you truly want to grow, you must be willing to step away from the noise, to appear different, to reclaim the solitude where real strength is built. The truth is, distraction doesn't just waste time, it weakens you. It chips away at your focus until you can no longer sit in silence with yourself. It makes your mind restless, unable to hold a clear thought for long. And what kind of life can you build if your mind is constantly pulled in 100 directions? The scary part is that distraction feels easier than focus. It's always easier to open your phone than to face your fears. It's easier to numb yourself with noise than to sit with uncomfortable truths. But easy choices now create hard lives later. Hard choices now create easier lives later. The more you train your focus, the more powerful you become. Aristotle believed that excellence wasn't a single act, but a habit. And that's true of attention as well. Every time you choose to focus, you're practicing the art of mastery. Every time you let distraction win, you're practicing the art of avoidance. The life you end up with will reflect which one you've practiced more. And make no mistake, distraction always comes at a cost. That cost is progress delayed. That cost is dreams postponed. That cost is potential left unused. You may not feel it immediately, but the compounding effect is undeniable. Just like money left to grow in an account multiplies over time, wasted time multiplies in the opposite direction. What you ignore today becomes the regret you carry tomorrow. You cannot drift into greatness. You cannot stumble into strength. You must fight for your focus. The Stoics saw focus as a kind of sacred duty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." In other words, stop wasting time on what does not matter. Life is shorter than you think, and distraction is how most of it disappears. Every hour you spend on what weakens you is an hour you could have spent building the foundation of your future. The exchange is not worth it. But how do you fight something that feels so constant? It starts by being honest. Where are you leaking time each day? What steals your attention without giving anything back? Write it down. Face it directly. As Jung taught us, the patterns we refuse to face will rule us. If you refuse to face your distractions, they will continue to control you. But once you bring them into the light, you regain the power to choose. The next step is to create an environment that supports your focus. Don't rely only on willpower. Change your surroundings. Remove what tempts you. Build routines that protect your attention. Epictetus reminded us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery of self means designing a life that keeps your vision in front of you and distractions behind you. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. The strongest people are not the ones who resist temptation endlessly, but the ones who build environments where they don't have to fight every second. And here's the deeper truth. Once you begin to focus, life feels lighter. Clarity replaces confusion. Energy replaces fatigue. Momentum replaces stagnation. The same way distraction compounds into regret, focus compounds into confidence. Each day you spend building yourself strengthens the next. Each small win makes the next win easier, and slowly the life you once imagined begins to take shape, not because you were lucky, but because you were present. The gift of focus is that it reveals what truly matters. You stop chasing approval. Stop wasting yourself on arguments that add nothing. Stop explaining your vision to those committed to misunderstanding it. You begin to protect your time and energy as if they are sacred, because they are. Life doesn't reward the one who pays attention to everything. It rewards the one who chooses carefully where to direct their fire. Distraction will always exist. The noise will never fully stop, but you can rise above it. You can choose to give your energy to what builds you instead of what drains you. You can train your mind to ignore the meaningless and stay locked on the meaningful. The philosophers knew this was the essence of freedom, not being free from challenge, but free from wasted living. If you can learn to guard your attention, you will find that much of the chaos around you no longer has power over you. And that's the point. The danger was never falling short. Falling short pushes you forward. The real danger was always distraction, because it convinces you to give up your life one moment at a time without realizing it. If you can see it for what it is and refuse to hand it your future, you will begin to live differently. You will begin to live deliberately, and the life that once felt out of reach will begin to take shape. Not because the world got quieter, but because you finally decided to focus. What if, instead of giving your attention to the meaningless, you gave it back to yourself? The hours you spend each day are like drops of water. Poured into the wrong places, they vanish into the sand, leaving nothing behind. But poured consistently into the same vessel, they accumulate, they strengthen, they begin to overflow into every part of your life. Imagine how much sharper, wiser and stronger you'd be if every single hour became an investment in your future instead of a donation to distractions. That's the power of focus. It compounds like interest. Quiet at first, almost invisible, but over time it transforms into something extraordinary. The truth is, your focus has always been the most valuable currency you own. More valuable than money, more valuable than status. Because where your focus goes, your life follows. If you pour it into shallow things, your life becomes shallow. If you pour it into growth, wisdom, and self-mastery, your life begins to reflect that strength. Seneca warned that life is long if you know how to use it. The use of life is the use of attention. What you feed daily either builds you up or breaks you down, and no one escapes the compounding effect of that choice. And that awakening doesn't just change how you feel in the moment. It changes the trajectory of your life. Think of focus like a lens. A blurred lens scatters the light. It diffuses energy, leaving nothing powerful enough to make an impact. But a focused lens concentrates light so sharply it can burn through steel. Your energy is the same. Scattered across noise, gossip, and distractions, it vanishes. Focused on your vision, it becomes unstoppable. Imagine what it would feel like to live without the constant pull of meaningless noise. Imagine a mind not flooded by endless opinions, not dragged down by comparison, but anchored in clarity. You would move through your days with a calm strength, making decisions with purpose rather than reaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your attention is on trivial things, your thoughts will be trivial. If your attention is on growth, your thoughts will build a foundation of wisdom." This is not abstract philosophy. It is the daily reality of where you decide to place your focus. Of course, it's not easy to guard your attention in a world built to steal it. Everything around you is designed to pull your focus outward, to keep you consuming instead of creating, comparing instead of building. That's why discipline in this area is not optional, it is survival. When you protect your attention, you're not just avoiding distraction, you're reclaiming your life. Each moment you pull your focus back to yourself, you're saying, "This life belongs to me, not to the noise around me." And slowly, choice by choice, you build a future that reflects that ownership. The compounding power of focus means that the smallest acts matter more than you think. An hour of reading today doesn't just make you wiser in that hour, it stacks with tomorrow's hour and the next, until suddenly you've built a mind others can't ignore. A workout doesn't just make you healthier for a day, it compounds into strength, confidence and energy that carry into every part of your life. Even the act of saying no to one distraction is an investment, a small brick added to the wall of discipline that will protect your future. Over time, these bricks form a fortress around your attention, making you harder to shake, harder to manipulate, harder to derail. Philosophy teaches us that greatness doesn't arrive in a single leap. It is carved over years of steady investment. Socrates lived by the belief that self-examination was the highest form of living, and that examination requires focus. Without attention turned inward, you drift. With it, you awaken to what's possible. The process is slow, yes, but it is sure. Just as a river carves valleys not by force, but by persistence, your attention, consistently placed, reshapes your entire existence. And what's remarkable is how the results begin to spill into areas you didn't even anticipate. Focus on your mind, and your relationships improve because you show up with more clarity and patience. Focus on your health, and your work improves because you carry more energy and confidence. Focus on your discipline, and your financial life improves because you stop wasting resources on what doesn't matter. Focus compounds across every area because all areas of life are connected through you. Strengthening one strengthens them all. Over time, you begin to see focus not as restriction, but as freedom. Freedom from the chains of distraction, freedom from the exhausting cycle of reacting to everything around you, freedom from the endless pull of comparison. By focusing on yourself, you create the space to actually live, to actually grow, to actually build. The philosophers saw freedom not as the absence of rules, but as the presence of self-mastery. Epictetus believed that no man was free who was not master of himself. Guarding your focus is how you step into that freedom. The choice is always yours. You can give your hours to noise and watch them disappear, or you can reclaim them and let them compound into something remarkable. Focus is the ultimate investment. It doesn't just change your day, it reshapes your life. It doesn't just create results, it creates character. And character, as the Stoics knew, is the only thing that truly endures. So what if you gave your attention back to yourself? What if today became the day you stopped scattering your energy across meaningless distractions and started stacking it towards something that matters? The compounding effect would be unstoppable. You would wake one day to find that the life you once dreamed of isn't a dream anymore. It's a reality, built not by luck, not by chance, but by the quiet power of focus. And that's the test, isn't it? Every single day the world tries to steal your attention. It doesn't come all at once, it comes in fragments. A notification buzzing on your phone, a headline screaming for your outrage, a comment meant to pull you into an argument that doesn't matter. Each one is a thief knocking quietly at the door of your mind, and the question is simple: do you let them in, or do you stand guard? Focus is not some rare talent given to a few. It isn't a gift handed down at birth. Focus is a choice you must make repeatedly, moment by moment, until it becomes the backbone of your life. It's easy to underestimate how dangerous it is to give your attention away. We think it's just a quick glance, just a few minutes. But nothing is ever just a few minutes. Each distraction leaves behind a residue, a subtle fog that lingers in your mind long after you've turned the screen off or walked away. It takes time to return to clarity. That is the real cost. Seneca warned us, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. When your focus is scattered across dozens of meaningless things, you end up present nowhere, accomplishing nothing. And so the thief wins, not with one big blow, but with small cuts you barely notice until the day is gone. The challenge is that distractions disguise themselves as urgent. They arrive dressed as opportunities, as responsibilities, as things you must respond to immediately. But most of them are noise. Carl Jung gave us insight into this trap when he said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." Many of the things that distract you aren't even external. They are excuses, little escapes you've built to avoid the harder work of self-reflection and growth. Guarding your mind doesn't just mean shutting out the outside world. It also means being honest about the inner distractions you create to protect yourself from discomfort. That discomfort is where the growth lies. It's easier to open your phone than to face the empty page. Easier to fill the silence with noise than to sit with your thoughts. Easier to drown your doubts in entertainment than to confront them. But growth requires facing exactly what you've been avoiding. Focus is a discipline. Like a muscle, it strengthens with use and weakens with neglect. You cannot expect clarity if you never practice it. Just as you train the body to grow strong under resistance, you must train the mind to grow strong under distraction. Each time you resist the urge to be pulled away, you are building that muscle. Each time you choose to stay with your work, your vision, your thoughts, you are becoming harder to shake. Of course, there will always be moments when you slip. The door to your mind will open and something unworthy will walk in. That's human. But the key is whether you notice it, whether you have the strength to escort it back out. Self-awareness is part of guarding the gates. The reason this matters so much is because your attention determines the direction of your life. Focused attention builds momentum. Scattered attention leaves you stagnant. Think of it like a river. A river contained in narrow banks becomes powerful, carving valleys and moving mountains. But a river spread too wide becomes a swamp, still, stagnant, lifeless. Your focus works the same way. When it is narrow and guarded, it transforms everything in its path. When it is scattered, it evaporates into nothing. And the test never stops. Every day thieves will come knocking again. Every day your mind will be pulled outward by noise, by negativity, by endless demands. The difference between those who build strong, meaningful lives and those who waste them isn't luck, talent, or opportunity. It is simply this. One group chose to stand guard, and the other did not. One group let distraction rule their days. The other built a fortress of focus. The choice will always be yours. Focus will never simply fall into your lap. It will always demand that you protect it, that you defend it, that you stand guard at the door of your mind and refuse entry to what does not serve you. And each time you make that choice, you grow stronger. Each time you deny the thief, you add another brick to the fortress that protects your vision. Over time, that fortress becomes unshakable. And in that fortress, you discover freedom, the freedom to think deeply, to act decisively, to live deliberately. You discover the strength the Stoics wrote about, the strength that comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering yourself. That's the test. And every day you face it, you prove again who you are becoming. Maybe you've noticed how restless you feel when you're not progressing. That sense of unease, that heaviness in the chest, that quiet voice in your mind reminding you that you're drifting. It isn't weakness. It isn't laziness. It's your deeper self begging for direction, calling you to return to the path of growth. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." He understood that without a vision, without something meaningful to move toward, the human spirit begins to wither. Energy left unused doesn't stay neutral. It turns inward, hardening into regret. That's why stagnation feels so unbearable, because it is not our natural state. We were not built to drift. We were built to build. When you ignore that restlessness, it doesn't go away. It builds. It grows louder with each day you spend avoiding your potential. You may distract yourself for a while, numbing it with entertainment, burying it under small comforts, but eventually it breaks through. It shows up as frustration with yourself, as envy toward others who seem to be moving forward, as a quiet bitterness at the opportunities you let pass by. That's why movement matters so much. Even small steps forward are enough to calm the restless spirit. Progress, however modest, feeds the soul. It reminds you that you're building something, that you're shaping yourself into more than you were yesterday. Restlessness, then, is not your enemy. It is a compass. It points toward the gap between who you are today and who you could become if you committed yourself fully. Ignoring it is dangerous because it pushes you into apathy, into the slow decay of wasted time. But listening to it, leaning into it, gives you the spark you need to begin again. Aristotle believed that all human action aims at some good, some end we are drawn toward. If your energy is not placed on building yourself, on moving toward that higher good, it spills into lesser things, leaving you feeling empty no matter how busy you keep yourself. Think of how you feel on the days you end with progress, no matter how small. Maybe it was finishing a workout, writing a page, learning something new, or resisting a distraction. Those are the nights you fall asleep with peace. You rest better not because life is perfect, but because you honored the voice within that demanded growth. Compare that to the nights where you wasted hours numbing yourself with meaningless noise. You feel restless, dissatisfied, even if nobody else notices. That contrast reveals the truth. Progress is fuel. Without it, your spirit burns out. With it, you catch fire. The restlessness you feel is your deeper self asking that first question: what am I meant to be? Once you answer, action must follow. Otherwise, the gap between vision and reality grows unbearable, and the larger that gap becomes, the more restless you feel, until eventually it curdles into regret. That's why clarity matters. Without clarity of who you want to become, you will wander endlessly, giving your energy to things that never satisfy you. It is easy, of course, to avoid ambition. Ambition requires risk. It requires the possibility of failure, of rejection, of being misunderstood. But avoiding it does not protect you. It drains you. Jung reminded us that there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Pain is the price of progress. The discomfort of moving towards something meaningful is far lighter than the torment of a stagnant life. What weighs more? The challenge of building yourself, or the regret of realizing you never even tried? That question lingers whether you face it or not. And this is why ambition is not arrogance, it is necessity. When Marcus Aurelius spoke of ambition, he wasn't talking about empty pride or selfish pursuit. He was talking about the inner drive to aim higher, to expand beyond the boundaries of comfort. Without ambition, you drift. With ambition, you live with purpose. A river without current becomes a swamp. A life without movement becomes the same. Purpose gives direction, and direction gives strength. Every ounce of progress becomes proof that your restlessness had meaning. This doesn't mean you need to achieve monumental things overnight. The compounding effect of consistent effort is enough. 1 hour each day of deep focus. 1 act of discipline repeated until it becomes natural. 1 refusal to give in to distraction when it calls. These small acts add up to transformation. And the restlessness inside you grows quiet, not because it disappears, but because it is finally satisfied. It knows you are moving toward something greater. Socrates once said, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." Each day you choose to build, you're reshaping yourself into someone who honors that secret. Still, the temptation to settle will always be there. To accept stagnation as normal. To believe that restlessness is just part of life, rather than a signal to act. But if you listen closely, you'll realize that the unease you feel isn't meant to torture you. It's meant to wake you up. It is your inner compass reminding you that your life has more potential than the way you're currently living it. If you treat it as a curse, you'll drown it out. If you treat it as a guide, you'll use it to rise. And when you do rise, something extraordinary happens. your restlessness transforms into momentum. You start to look forward to progress. You start to crave it more than distraction. The very things that once pulled you away lose their hold because they cannot compete with the satisfaction of building yourself. You begin to respect yourself, to trust yourself, because you've proven that when your deeper self calls, you answer. And that trust is priceless. It becomes the foundation of confidence, discipline, and resilience. Progress rarely shouts. It doesn't announce itself after one workout, one book, or one disciplined decision. Instead, it accumulates silently. You wake up one day and realize you are no longer the same person. You think differently. You carry yourself differently. You face challenges with steadier hands. That transformation is built in silence, in the long stretches when no applause comes, when the results are invisible to everyone else. Seneca reminded us that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. By stacking daily acts of discipline, you're preparing yourself for the moments when opportunity arrives. Without that preparation, opportunity passes by unnoticed. But building yourself is not just about skill or strength, it's about character. The world is filled with talented people who collapse under pressure because they never built the habits that support resilience. True strength comes from becoming the kind of person who keeps promises, especially to yourself. When you say you'll do something and follow through, you prove to yourself that your word is solid. That proof becomes self-trust. And when you trust yourself, the opinions of others begin to lose their power over you. Socrates believed that self-knowledge was the highest form of wisdom, but knowledge without the discipline to act on it remains incomplete. Building yourself is the bridge between knowing and becoming. There will be days when you feel nothing happening, when the effort feels wasted. That's when most people stop. They mistake silence for failure. But silence is where the deepest roots grow. Imagine a seed underground. It looks dead from the surface, but it's preparing to break through. Your efforts are no different. And becoming requires sacrifice. To build yourself means letting go of the things that drain you, even if they're comfortable. It means giving up the cheap validation of comparison and instead chasing the hard-earned respect of discipline. It means choosing stillness over endless distraction, growth over stagnation, clarity over noise. These sacrifices may feel heavy at first, but in time you'll realize they were never losses, they were trades. You gave up what was shallow to gain what was lasting. Epictetus urged his students to endure this discomfort because he knew that true freedom required it. The beauty of this process is that it multiplies across every area of your life. The discipline you build in your health bleeds into your work. The patience you develop in your work strengthens your relationships. The clarity you gain from focusing inward makes you a calmer presence for those around you. Everything connects because all of it stems from you. When you build yourself, everything else rises with you. When you neglect yourself, everything else begins to decay. So building yourself is not just about achievement, it's about alignment. It's aligning your actions with your vision, your discipline with your values, your habits with your ambitions. Without that alignment, you remain restless, scattered, unsure. With it, you find peace. Not the peace of inactivity, but the peace of knowing you're moving toward the life you were meant to live. Seneca believed that the greatest wealth is a contented mind. Contentment doesn't come from drifting, it comes from building. And it always circles back to the small choices. Will you rise when comfort whispers, or will you obey it? Will you do the work in silence when no one claps? Or will you wait for recognition? Will you keep showing up when results are invisible, or will you abandon the process? The answer to those questions is what defines whether you build yourself or betray yourself. Building is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the slow, deliberate act of stacking discipline, one day at a time, until the person you've always imagined is the person staring back at you in the mirror. In the end, building yourself isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming trustworthy to yourself, to your vision, to the life you're shaping. It's about knowing that when your deeper self calls for progress, you will answer. It's about forging an identity so strong that no storm can strip it away. And when you reach that place, when you can look at yourself and know that you are the result of your own choices, you'll realize that building yourself wasn't just the path, it was the destination all along. Trust, that's the real currency of self-respect. You can achieve things, you can win recognition, you can collect the approval of others. But if you don't keep the promises you make to yourself, all of it eventually feels hollow. The question is not whether the world believes in you, but whether you believe in you. Do you follow through on the commitments you whisper to yourself in silence? Do you honor the goals you set when no one else is looking? Because if you don't, you slowly erode the foundation of your own confidence. And when that belief in yourself begins to fade, no amount of applause, praise, or validation can bring it back. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." In the same way, a person who constantly seeks external validation without first securing self-trust is poor in spirit, always hungry, never satisfied. The promises you make to yourself are not small things. They are contracts with your future. Each time you honor one, you strengthen the bond between who you are and who you want to become. Each time you break one, you widen the gap. Self-trust is not built in grand gestures. It's built in repetition, waking up when you said you would, completing the task you promised you'd finish, saying no when you told yourself you wouldn't give in again. These are small choices, but stacked together, they create a powerful identity, one rooted in reliability. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in his meditations, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The strength of this statement lies in its simplicity. It's a rule for living that, if followed consistently, makes you trustworthy first in your own eyes and then in the eyes of others. And that is the key. You cannot respect yourself if you do not trust yourself. And if you cannot respect yourself, the praise of others rings empty. Think about it. You've probably had moments where people congratulated you, but inside you felt undeserving because you knew you hadn't truly earned it. That dissonance is the gap between external validation and internal truth. No matter how much the world applauds, if you know you've broken your own word, you can't feel fulfilled. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." If you keep lying to yourself, pretending that breaking promises is acceptable, you block your own growth. You cannot progress while deceiving yourself. When you consistently keep your promises, however, something shifts. You begin to build momentum. Confidence is no longer something you chase. It becomes a natural byproduct of living in alignment. Each completed commitment whispers to your deeper self, "I can rely on you." That whisper grows louder until it becomes a steady conviction. And when you have that conviction, you are no longer easily shaken by setbacks or criticism. You've proven to yourself that you can stand firm. But why is breaking your own promises so destructive? Because it doesn't just affect one moment, it reshapes your identity. Each time you tell yourself you'll do something and don't, you're casting a vote for the version of you who is unreliable, inconsistent, uncommitted. And identities are built on votes. One broken promise may seem small, but repeated over time, it changes how you see yourself. Eventually, you stop setting goals because deep down you know you won't follow through. That is the silent death of potential, the moment you stop believing your own word. Self-trust is like a mirror. When it's intact, you see yourself clearly, and the reflection is honest, steady, grounded. When it cracks from broken promises, the reflection distorts. You see yourself as weaker, less capable, less deserving. And if you live long enough with that distorted reflection, you begin to accept it as truth, even though it isn't. That is why rebuilding trust with yourself must become a priority. It isn't just about discipline, it's about reclaiming an accurate vision of who you are and what you're capable of. The way back is through consistency. Not perfection, but consistency. You don't need to keep every promise immediately. You need to start keeping enough of them that you begin to believe again. One commitment honored each day is enough to start repairing the cracks. Consider this. The most powerful people in history were not those who relied only on the trust of others, but those who first trusted themselves. Their decisions were often unpopular, their actions often misunderstood, but because they had built inner conviction through discipline, they could withstand external storms. Trusting yourself doesn't mean you will always be right, but it means you will always move with clarity rather than paralysis. It is the antidote to hesitation. It is what allows you to act even when the outcome is uncertain. The irony is that most people work tirelessly to gain the trust of others, but neglect the one trust that matters most, their own. They polish their image, they chase praise, they bend themselves to please, but inside they know they are unreliable. And that inner knowledge eventually outweighs everything else. Marcus Aurelius warned against this when he said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." You can't build a life of depth if you care more about appearances than about whether you yourself can rely on your word. So self-trust is the foundation. Without it, everything else crumbles. With it, you can endure failure, rejection, and setbacks, because none of those shake the identity you've built through discipline. That's why every choice matters. Every yes to progress and every no to weakness is another layer of trust added to your foundation. You won't always get it right. You will fall short at times. But what defines you isn't perfection, it's persistence. The persistence to keep rebuilding trust until it becomes unshakable. And when that foundation is strong, life feels different. You no longer second-guess yourself endlessly. You no longer live trapped by the fear of judgment. You begin to move with a quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself because it's proven daily in your actions. That is the reward of keeping your word, not the praise of others, but the peace of knowing you can rely on yourself. In the end, trust is the real currency of self-respect. Break it, and no amount of success can save you from the emptiness that follows. Honor it, and even in struggle, you will carry yourself with dignity. Because when you believe in your own potential, when you know that your promises mean something, you no longer chase validation. You embody it. And that is where true self-respect begins, standing firm on the foundation of your own word, unshakable in the knowledge that you can trust yourself completely. But isn't that the trap most people fall into? Living for approval, bending to every opinion, shrinking their ambitions just to fit into the narrow expectations of others. It's one of the most subtle and dangerous ways to waste a life. You start with a dream that excites you, that stirs something deep inside. Then, slowly, you dilute it, one concession here, one compromise there, until what remains is barely recognizable. And why? Because you were afraid of being misunderstood, because you were afraid of stepping outside the comfort of acceptance. Approval seems harmless at first. A pat on the back, a nod of recognition, a sense of belonging. But the cost is steep. Each time you choose acceptance over authenticity, you trade a piece of your soul for comfort. And the problem with comfort is that it never lasts. People's opinions shift like sand. One day they praise you, the next they criticize you. If you anchor your dreams in their approval, you'll spend your life building on unstable ground. The irony is that the very people you bend yourself for often aren't even living with conviction themselves. They're scared, they're hesitant, they're weighed down by their own unfulfilled potential. So when you explain your dreams to them, when you seek their validation, you're handing your future over to people who have already surrendered their own. Think about how many times you've hesitated to take a step forward because of what others might say. Maybe you wanted to start something new, but you imagined their laughter. Maybe you wanted to push for more, but you feared their judgment. Those fears are invisible chains. They don't bind your body, but they bind your spirit. And those chains become heavier with time. You begin to silence yourself before anyone else even has the chance to. Over time, you no longer need their disapproval. You've internalized it. You become your own jailer. Living for approval is exhausting because it's endless. There will always be someone who disapproves. There will always be someone who doubts. If you base your worth on their acceptance, you'll be forever chasing a finish line that doesn't exist. And the tragedy is that in the process, you lose the one thing that actually matters, your authentic self. And what's even more painful is that the more you water down your goals, the less joy you find in them. A dream that once burned with passion becomes dull when reshaped to meet others' expectations. You end up achieving things you don't even want, carrying victories that feel empty because they weren't yours to begin with. You might gain acceptance, but acceptance built on a lie always feels hollow. The deeper problem is that approval distracts you from the real work of building. Instead of putting energy into your growth, you put energy into your performance. Instead of sharpening your focus, you scatter it across endless attempts to keep everyone happy. But no matter how much you give, it's never enough. People will always want more. They will always find something to critique. Plato said, "Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance." Why then would you stake your entire future on the shifting opinions of others? To reclaim your life, you must begin to recognize approval seeking for what it is. Fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of standing alone. But solitude isn't emptiness, it's clarity. In solitude, you begin to hear your own voice again. In solitude, you remember what you truly want, unshaped by outside noise. That's why so many philosophers from the Stoics to Socrates emphasize the importance of withdrawing inward. Because until you know your own voice, you cannot build a life that is truly yours. The path forward is not about rejecting people altogether, but about placing their opinions in the right place. Listen, but don't obey blindly. Consider, but don't compromise your vision. Approval may come and go, but your self-respect must remain constant. So consider this. How many of your goals have you watered down just to be accepted? How many times have you traded your authenticity for approval? How many times have you betrayed yourself in the process of pleasing others? If you're honest, the answers may sting. But that sting is the first step to freedom. Because once you see the cost of approval seeking clearly, you can choose differently. You can choose to honor your truth instead of their expectations. You can choose to build your life instead of performing in theirs. And when you do, you'll discover that approval was never the prize. It was the prison. The real prize was always authenticity, always freedom, always the unshakable strength that comes from living as yourself. The truth is, your vision isn't supposed to be understood by everyone. It was given to you, not them. That fire inside you, the dream that keeps whispering in your mind when the world is quiet, that was planted in you for a reason. It doesn't need the approval of others to be real. It doesn't need their recognition to be valid. If others can't see it, That's not your burden to carry. What matters is whether you can see it, whether you're willing to protect it, whether you're ready to build it brick by brick, even when no one claps. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." The vision you've been given isn't a group project. It's a personal responsibility. And yet, how many dreams have been abandoned because they weren't understood by others? How many people give up on what they were meant to build simply because someone close to them didn't believe? That is the real tragedy. Not that the dream was too big, but that the dreamer made it small enough for others to accept. When you shrink your vision to fit someone else's imagination, you're not protecting yourself. You're betraying yourself. Seneca warned, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare, things are difficult." Often, it isn't the weight of the dream that breaks us, it's the fear of standing alone with it. You have to understand that people can only see through the lens of their own limitations. Their doubts are not a reflection of your ability, but of their own fears. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." What he meant is simple. Just because many people doubt something doesn't make it untrue. Your vision belongs to you. Their inability to see it doesn't erase its potential. What destroys it is when you surrender it just to avoid standing apart. Building something bigger than yourself will always draw skepticism. People are comfortable with what they know, and anything that stretches beyond that feels threatening. If your vision is truly worth chasing, it will often be too large for others to accept. That's not a flaw. It's proof you're on the right path. The danger is letting their doubt seep into your bones. If you listen too long to voices that cannot see your vision, you'll begin to question it yourself. And once you start questioning, hesitation grows. Hesitation becomes procrastination, and procrastination becomes abandonment. That is how visions die, not with one final blow, but with 1,000 small concessions to doubt. Jung reminded us, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and part of accepting yourself is accepting the vision you've been given, even when nobody else believes in it. To reject your vision is to reject yourself. Your task is not to convince everyone. Your task is to stay loyal to what you know deep down is yours to build. Convincing others is wasted energy. That energy belongs to the work, to the daily actions that give shape to the dream. People will understand later, once the results are undeniable. Until then, your loyalty must be to the process, not to their approval. Think about every person who changed the world in some way. They were called dreamers, fools, even threats, long before they were called visionaries. Their visions didn't make sense at first because they were meant to stretch the boundaries of what was known. If they had abandoned those visions just to be accepted, the world would be emptier. In the same way, if you abandon what you were given, your world will be emptier. The loss won't just be yours. It will be the loss of everything that vision could have created for others as well. There's a quiet kind of courage required to hold on to something others can't see. It's the courage to face misunderstanding, to endure judgment, to walk in solitude while the world watches and questions. But there is also a quiet strength that grows in that solitude. Each day you remain faithful to your vision, you build resilience. Each day you refuse to water it down, you prove to yourself that your belief is stronger than their doubt. That kind of resilience is unshakable because it's not built on the shifting opinions of others, it's built on conviction. In time, your vision will reveal itself through results. What once seemed invisible to others will become undeniable, and the same people who doubted may look at you with admiration, even envy. But by then, you'll have learned the most important lesson. The only approval you ever needed was your own. So remember this: your vision is not supposed to be understood by everyone. It is not meant for everyone. It was given to you for a reason, and only you can decide whether it lives or dies. Don't let the smallness of others shrink the largeness of what you are meant to build. The real tragedy isn't that they can't see it. It's when you stop seeing it because they couldn't. Protect it, nurture it, build it even in silence. Because one day, the life shaped by that vision will stand as proof, not just of what was possible, but of who you chose to be when belief was scarce and doubt was loud. The modern world is filled with noise, both external and internal. Notifications demand your attention. Social media floods your mind with endless comparison. News cycles pull you from one crisis to the next. Even in your own head, thoughts spin endlessly, echoing doubts, replaying mistakes, imagining criticism that hasn't even happened yet. Noise is everywhere, and unless you learn to quiet it, you will never hear the voice that matters most, your own. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Noise is the outside world pulling you into its endless dream. Silence is the awakening, the return to clarity that comes from listening inward. But silence is not emptiness. It is strength. It's the space where you begin to see things as they really are, without distortion. When you're rooted in inner silence, you can hear criticism without being crushed by it, and praise without becoming addicted to it. Both lose their power over you because your worth no longer depends on them. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." The courage to detach from noise, to step back from the endless pull of validation, is the very act that sets you free. When you no longer crave validation, your actions change. You stop performing for approval and start acting with purpose. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand, and instead put that energy into building what matters. You stop hesitating when others doubt you, because you've already made peace with walking alone if you must. This kind of inner silence doesn't come naturally, it must be cultivated. It requires discipline. It requires moments of solitude where you step back from the chaos and ask yourself, what really matters here? What belongs to me and what belongs to the noise? Most people never ask these questions because silence feels uncomfortable at first. It exposes truths they'd rather ignore. It reveals how much of their life has been lived for others rather than for themselves. But discomfort is not a reason to avoid silence. It's the very reason you must seek it, for it is only by facing discomfort that you can move beyond it. And when you do, clarity begins to replace confusion. The fog lifts. What once felt overwhelming begins to seem simple. The doubts that shouted so loudly now whisper faintly in the background. You see your path again, and more importantly, you begin to trust it. Once you've tasted that calm, the world feels different. You realize how much time you've wasted trying to prove yourself. You see clearly how much of your energy has been drained by chasing approval, and suddenly you no longer want it. You begin to hunger for depth instead, for truth, for progress that is measured not by claps or likes, but by the quiet satisfaction of knowing you lived today in alignment with your values. That shift is what makes you unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you are no longer distracted by the noise that once controlled you. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing validation, people start respecting you more. They see someone who cannot be moved by every opinion, and they feel the weight of that stability. Authenticity has a gravity that performance never will, but by then their respect is no longer your goal, it is only a side effect. You are not living for them, you are living as yourself. That's the freedom silence gives you. The journey to inner silence is lifelong. There will always be noise pressing in from every side. There will always be moments when doubt returns, when outside voices get louder than you'd like. But the more you practice, the faster you return to your center. Silence becomes your anchor, and in that anchoring you find peace. Peace not as an escape from life, but as the strength to live it fully. So when the world tries to pull you in 1,000 directions, remember this: you don't need their validation. You don't need their permission. Your vision is yours alone, and silence is what gives it strength. Find that silence, hold on to it, and build your life from it. Because the moment you stop needing validation, you become untouchable. No critic, no doubt, no outside voice can move someone who knows exactly where they're going and has the clarity to keep walking no matter what stands in the way. Think about it. If growth only came in moments of ease, everyone would achieve it. The truth is that growth hides inside struggle. Progress is born in discomfort. Transformation waits for you at the edge of exhaustion. The days when you want to quit are the very days that test your commitment. They ask you, do you really mean what you said? Do you really want the vision you claimed you wanted? Or were you only willing to chase it when it was comfortable? Epictetus reminded his students, difficulties show what men are. Your character isn't revealed in the easy days. It's revealed in the days when you want to stop, but don't. That's where you find out what you're made of. That's where you uncover a strength you didn't know you had. It helps to remember that fear will never disappear entirely. Waiting for the day you feel no fear is just another form of procrastination. Fear is part of the journey. It follows you because it knows you are stepping into unknown territory, leaving behind the safety of the familiar. But fear is not your enemy. It's a companion that shows up every time you push against your limits. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not that one feels no fear, but that one learns to move with it. Courage is not about grand heroic acts. It's about persistence. It's about saying one more step when you want to stop, one more try when failure weighs heavy, one more day when the progress feels invisible. It's about being relentless in small ways until, eventually, the small ways add up to something unshakable. And every time you refuse to quit, you're not just moving forward. You're reshaping your identity into that of someone who endures, someone who cannot be broken easily. What makes courage transformative is that it doesn't only move you forward in one area of life, it strengthens you everywhere. The resilience you build in your work spills into your relationships. The endurance you learn in your health spills into your creativity. The patience you cultivate in your growth spills into your ability to handle setbacks. Every time you keep going when you want to quit, you're training your whole self to be stronger, calmer, and more capable. That's why quitting feels tempting. It's the gatekeeper. If you can pass through it, you'll discover reserves of strength you never knew you had. In time, you'll look back on the moments when you wanted to quit and realize they were the most important of all. Not because they were pleasant, but because they revealed your strength. They forced you to dig deeper, to endure longer, to choose courage instead of comfort. And it's in those moments that you built the foundation for everything else. Without them, your victories would feel fragile. With them, your victories carry weight because you know they were earned. The road will never be free of days when you feel like quitting. That temptation will always resurface, whispering that the effort isn't worth it. But the more you resist it, the quieter it becomes. You build resilience like armor, and in time, what once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once drained you becomes fuel, and the voice that says quit becomes one you recognize not as truth, but as a test you've already passed before and will pass again. So when the day comes, as it surely will, When your energy feels empty and the road seems endless, remember this: transformation lives here. The moment you feel like quitting is the moment your deeper self is being forged. Fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal you're moving in the right direction. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear decide your future. And every time you choose courage over quitting, you become someone stronger, someone steadier, someone capable of carrying the weight of the life you're building. That is how transformation happens, not in comfort, but in the fire of persistence. You've felt that moment before, when quitting seemed easier, when the pull of comfort grew louder than the call of purpose. In those moments, the bed feels heavier, the distraction seems sweeter, and the weight of your ambitions feels almost unbearable. And yet, there is a truth we often forget. Comfort lies. It promises relief, but what it delivers is regret. It offers peace, but only in the shallowest sense, because deep down, you know you've traded what matters for what is easy. Comfort is clever that way. It doesn't confront you with force. It seduces you quietly, convincing you that one skipped day won't matter, that one missed step is harmless. But each time you give in, you drift further from the life you know you're capable of building. The trap of comfort is that it feels good in the moment. It softens the edges of struggle. It numbs the sting of fear. It silences the demand for effort. But that pleasure fades quickly, leaving behind the heavier burden of knowing you've stepped back from your own potential. Comfort, left unchecked, becomes a habit. And like all habits, it compounds. Each small retreat makes the next retreat easier, until eventually comfort is not a momentary indulgence. It's your lifestyle. You wake up years later wondering where your energy went, where your ambitions went, where your courage went. They didn't disappear. They were slowly traded away for the false peace of comfort. And here's the hardest part. Comfort doesn't just steal your progress. It steals your belief in yourself. Each time you betray your purpose for relief, you erode your trust in your own word. You promise yourself that tomorrow will be different, that you'll start again, that you'll be stronger. But when tomorrow comes, the whisper of comfort returns, and too often, you follow it. Over time, you stop believing those promises altogether. You begin to see yourself as someone who can't follow through, someone who doesn't finish what they start. And that loss of belief is far more destructive than any failure. But if comfort lies, then what is the truth? The truth is that purpose always demands more from you than you think you can give, but it gives more back than you thought possible. It asks for sacrifice, for persistence, for courage. And though the cost feels steep in the moment, the return is priceless. Self-respect, resilience, progress, and a future you can stand proudly inside. It's important to see comfort for what it really is, an illusion of safety. It tells you that staying where you are protects you from risk, from failure, from pain. But what it truly does is lock you in place while life moves on without you. The world doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. By staying in comfort, you're not protecting yourself, you're falling behind. And every moment spent clinging to that false safety is a moment stolen from the person you could become. Think back to the times in your life when you felt most alive. They weren't the times you were comfortable. They were the times you pushed through fear, when you risked failure, when you dared to step beyond what felt safe. Those moments gave you strength, clarity, and stories you still carry with pride. That is proof that comfort cannot give you what purpose can. It's proof that the life you deserve exists only on the other side of effort. So the next time comfort whispers that you've done enough, that you can stop now, remember what's really at stake. It's not just today's progress, it's your future, it's your identity. It's the life you will one day look back on, Will you see a story of purpose, or will you see a story of retreat? Each small choice moves you closer to one or the other. And though comfort lies loudly, purpose always tells the quiet truth. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth it. You've already felt the cost of comfort in your own life. The restlessness when you know you could have done more, the heaviness of unfulfilled potential, the regret of opportunities wasted. You don't need to imagine it, you've lived it. But that also means you know the alternative. You know how powerful it feels when you resist comfort and choose progress instead. You know the pride that comes from pushing through when you wanted to stop. That feeling isn't an accident. It's the reward for listening to purpose instead of lies. And that is the choice you face every day. Comfort or purpose, lies or truth, regret or resilience. Each time you choose purpose, you weaken the voice of comfort. Each time you honor your vision, you strengthen your future. And slowly, the habit of ease is replaced by the habit of excellence. One day, you'll look back and see that the gap between the life you deserved and the life you lived was closed not by one grand act, but by countless small decisions to reject comfort's lies and walk toward your purpose. So yes, quitting will always seem easier. Comfort will always whisper, but you already know its voice is false. You already know the life it offers is smaller than the one you were meant to live. Every time you give in, you step further from the life you deserve. But every time you resist, every time you choose purpose over relief, you step closer. And step by step, choice by choice, you build not just a future, but a self you can be proud of. That is the truth comfort tries to hide. That is the truth you must live by. So how do you fight back? You fight back in the very moment when everything inside you tells you to stop. You fight back by leaning into the resistance, by refusing to surrender to the voice of comfort that insists you've done enough. Strength is not built in the first steps, when you're fresh and motivated. It's built in the last steps, when you're tired, when your mind begs you to quit, when every muscle in your body or every ounce of your willpower feels drained. That's where the transformation happens, by pushing harder exactly when you want to stop. One more rep, one more page, one more decision in favor of growth. These small extra steps may not seem like much in the moment, but they're the dividing line between those who dream about growth and those who actually achieve it. Epictetus reminded us, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." Glory is not found in ease, but in the courage to go further when ease tempts you to retreat. Average people stop at the point of discomfort. They stop when it's no longer fun, when the applause has faded, when the results aren't visible yet. And in stopping, they convince themselves that this is their limit. But limits are rarely real. They are boundaries created by the mind, boundaries that crumble the moment you challenge them. Think about it. The times in your life when you've been proudest weren't the times when things came easily. They were the times you endured, the times you finished despite the weight of fatigue, the times you added one more effort when most people would have stopped. That extra effort is a gift you give to yourself. It is proof that you are not average, proof that you will not collapse at the first sign of resistance. And there's something else. Every time you push harder, you're not just building results. You're building identity. You're telling yourself, "I am someone who keeps going." And that identity carries into every area of your life. You begin to face challenges differently. You stop backing down so easily. You stop doubting whether you can endure, because you've already proven that you can. Of course, pushing harder doesn't mean burning yourself out recklessly. It means training your mind to distinguish between the voice of real exhaustion and the voice of comfort disguised as exhaustion. One is your body telling you it needs recovery. The other is your fear trying to convince you to quit early. Inner silence, the kind you've been cultivating, helps you tell the difference. Jung believed that facing the shadow within us was essential for growth, and this applies here as well. The shadow voice whispers that you're too tired, too weak, that you should take the easy way out. When you shine awareness on it, you realize it isn't truth, it's resistance. And resistance is the threshold to progress. And the more you cross that threshold, the more resilient you become. The next time you face the same challenge, it feels lighter. What once seemed impossible becomes routine. And in this way, you don't just push harder in one moment, you raise your baseline for what is possible. This is how champions are built. Not by doing what everyone else does, but by refusing to stop where everyone else stops. Pushing beyond comfort also builds trust in yourself. Each time you go further than you thought you could, you prove to yourself that your limits are flexible. That trust is invaluable because it becomes the foundation for bigger risks, bigger visions, bigger goals. You stop fearing the unknown because you've already experienced the strength that comes from enduring the difficult. And that strength is what makes you unstoppable. Epictetus said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself." By going further when you want to quit, you reveal to yourself a version that is braver, steadier, and stronger than you once imagined. And here's the secret: the reward is rarely immediate. In the moment, the extra rep hurts, the extra page feels tedious, the extra decision feels small. But in the long run, those tiny acts are what create transformation. They're what separate mediocrity from greatness, stagnation from progress, regret from fulfillment. Comfort gives you temporary ease, but effort gives you lasting pride. And that pride becomes a quiet confidence that no one can take away, because it was earned in the silence of struggle. The next time you feel like quitting, remind yourself that you're standing at the door of transformation. Remind yourself that the average person stops here, but you are not average. The next time comfort whispers, answer it with action. One more rep, one more page, one more decision in favor of growth. Because it is in those small, defiant choices that strength is born. It is in those choices that your future takes shape. And it is in those choices that you build a self capable of carrying the life you were meant to live. So, how do you fight back? You fight back by refusing to stop where the average person does. You fight back by turning the urge to quit into fuel for one more step. And with each step, you build a life not of wasted potential, but of realized strength. That is the power of going further. That is the path to becoming unshakable. And here's the thing, you won't always see results right away. Growth is rarely loud, and it almost never announces itself when you want it to. More often, it hides underground, working in silence like roots spreading deep beneath the soil before a tree ever breaks through into the light. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. The problem is that we're conditioned to crave instant results, instant validation, instant confirmation that our efforts are paying off. When we don't see it, we begin to doubt. But that doubt is the greatest enemy of transformation because it convinces us to quit before the roots have had a chance to anchor us. The danger is that most people abandon the process too soon. They want visible proof. They want applause, recognition, or immediate transformation. When it doesn't come, they convince themselves nothing is happening. But mastery, by its very nature, requires a long silence. And this is where trust becomes essential. To trust the process is to accept that not all progress can be measured right away. It's choosing to believe that every act of discipline, every choice in favor of growth, every time you resist the urge to quit, is stacking silently towards something greater. Trusting the process means refusing to judge your future based on what you can or cannot see today. It's remembering that progress is not always a straight line. It's a curve, a layering, a compounding that often feels invisible until it suddenly becomes undeniable. Think of how rivers carve through stone, not in a year, not even in a lifetime, but through endless persistence, drop after drop, flow after flow. You don't see the change in a single moment, but over time, the river reshapes the landscape entirely. Your efforts work the same way. Each small act may feel insignificant on its own, but together, over time, they carve new patterns into your mind, your body, and your life. That's why impatience is so dangerous. It convinces you to abandon the river long before it has done its work. The truth is, progress often feels boring. It's not the dramatic leaps that shape you, it's the quiet consistency. Reading one more page, training one more day, choosing discipline one more time. None of these feel like victories in isolation, but together they accumulate into something extraordinary. And yes, there will be days when you doubt. Days when you look at yourself and wonder if anything is changing at all. Those are the most dangerous days because they tempt you to undo months of effort with one decision to stop. But they are also the most important days. They are the days when trust matters most. Because trust is what keeps you steady when emotions waver. Trust is what keeps you consistent when results are hidden. Trust is the bridge between who you are today and who you are becoming tomorrow. So trust the silence, trust the hidden work, trust the roots spreading deep beneath the surface. Because growth is not always visible in the moment. It often reveals itself in hindsight, in the strength you didn't know you had, in the resilience you didn't realize you'd built, in the clarity that suddenly feels natural. Seneca reminded us, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." The road feels rough precisely because progress is slow, hidden, silent. But every step along that road matters. Every choice counts. And one day, you will look back and realize that the silence wasn't wasted time. It was the foundation of everything. In the end, trusting the process is about patience, persistence, and faith in the unseen. It's about showing up daily, not because you're guaranteed immediate results, but because you know that every act of discipline carries weight, whether visible or not. It's about understanding that greatness grows underground long before it blossoms in the open. And it's about refusing to let doubt steal from you what persistence could have given you. So keep going, even when it feels quiet. Keep building, even when the results hide. Because just like the tree that bursts through the soil after seasons of silence, your growth will one day emerge, and when it does, it will be undeniable. Think about how many dreams have died, not because they were impossible, but because someone couldn't handle the silence between effort and reward. That silence feels heavy, almost unbearable at times. You show up every day, but nothing seems to change. You pour your energy into the process, but no one claps, no one notices, no one validates it. That's where people quit. They convince themselves it isn't working, but the truth is, the process was working. It just hadn't revealed its results yet. Endurance works because time itself is a force multiplier. Each disciplined act may look small in isolation, but time compounds it. A single workout changes little, but 100 workouts shape a body. One page doesn't transform your mind, but 1,000 pages do. A few dollars saved may seem insignificant, but years of saving can create abundance. This is the compounding magic of patience, the invisible accumulation that suddenly becomes visible in a way that feels unstoppable. Most people can endure a short burst of effort. They can commit for a week, a month, maybe even a year. But endurance asks for more. It asks for years of faith in the unseen, for discipline in the silence, for trust in the invisible work. That's why so few reach greatness, because greatness is not built on intensity alone, but on patience sustained over time. Endurance also reshapes your relationship with time. When you are impatient, time feels like an enemy, a wall standing between you and your results. But when you cultivate patience, time becomes your ally. You realize that every day you endure is not wasted, it is an investment. Every repetition, every disciplined act, every sacrifice is a seed planted, and time is what allows those seeds to bloom. What makes patience powerful is not just what it builds externally, but what it builds internally. It shapes resilience. It teaches you to hold steady when others panic. It gives you calm in the middle of storms. When you endure, you discover that you are stronger than frustration, stronger than delay, stronger than the temptation to quit. Marcus Aurelius lived this truth daily, reminding himself to persist despite endless challenges as emperor. His endurance didn't just build an empire, it built an inner strength that no circumstance could destroy. But patience does not mean passivity. It's not about waiting idly, hoping that something will happen. Patience is active. It's showing up, stacking days, doing the work with faith that time will multiply your efforts. It's the discipline to water the plant daily, even when no green shoots have appeared. It's the trust that effort is never wasted, even when results remain hidden. The tragedy is that so many stop too early. They endure just long enough to reach the edge of transformation, but then impatience steals it from them. They don't realize that the invisible season is the most important one, that the roots must spread before the tree can grow. They abandon the work when it's hardest, forgetting that the hardest point is often the turning point. So keep stacking days, keep choosing discipline even when no one notices. Keep trusting the compounding power of time. Every day you endure adds weight to your foundation, until one day you look back and realize the foundation has become unshakable. One day the results will burst through the soil, undeniable, visible to all. And by then you'll understand that patience wasn't just part of the journey, it was the very thing that made the journey possible. Because patience is power. It is the quiet strength that transforms ordinary efforts into extraordinary outcomes. It is the invisible force that turns discipline into destiny. Most people abandon their dreams in silence, not because they weren't capable, but because they couldn't wait. Don't make that mistake. Let others quit in impatience. You, instead, endure. You stack days, you keep showing up, and you let time work its magic. For in the end, time always rewards those who trusted the process long enough to see it through. But to stay the course, you must cut out distractions. Not only the obvious ones like your phone buzzing or endless streams of meaningless entertainment, but the subtle ones too. The distractions that don't come from outside but from within. Overthinking, self-doubt, replaying mistakes over and over as if punishing yourself will somehow change the past. These are inner thieves. They don't shout as loudly as the external noise, but they drain you faster because they use your own energy against you. The external world is full of things that try to steal your attention, but the truth is that most people are undone, not by the noise outside, but by the noise inside. You can turn off a phone, close a door, walk away from a conversation. But what about the thoughts that circle endlessly in your head? The doubts that whisper you're not ready, the regrets that replay old failures, the fears that imagine disasters that haven't even happened yet? These inner thieves are harder to silence, and because they live within, they feel personal. You begin to believe they are you, when in reality, they are just thoughts you've allowed to linger too long. If you allow these inner distractions to remain, they will rob you of more than just your time. They will rob you of your identity. Each time you choose doubt over action, you reinforce the belief that you cannot trust yourself. Each time you choose regret over learning, you weaken your confidence in the future. Each time you let overthinking paralyze you, you forget that clarity only comes from movement. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of the suffering you feel from these inner thieves is not from real events, but from imagined ones. You pay a price for things that never even happened, draining yourself of the energy you could have used to build something real. Cutting out distractions, then, is not only about managing your environment, it's about managing your inner life. It's learning to notice when a thought isn't helping you and letting it go instead of feeding it. It's recognizing that doubt is not a command, but just a thought that can pass if you don't hold on to it. It's deciding that mistakes are not prisons, but teachers, and once the lesson is learned, you move forward. And just like external distractions, inner distractions compound if you don't deal with them. A single doubtful thought, left unchecked, grows into hesitation. Hesitation grows into inaction. Inaction grows into regret. And regret loops back into more self-doubt, fueling the cycle all over again. But the opposite is also true. One act of courage can silence 100 doubts. One clear choice can end the paralysis of overthinking. One lesson taken from a mistake can free you from the endless replay of the past. These are small shifts, but like all discipline, they stack, creating momentum that builds into strength. The danger of these subtle distractions is that they often feel responsible. You tell yourself that replaying mistakes is important because it means you're learning. You tell yourself that doubting yourself is realistic, that it keeps you grounded. You tell yourself that overthinking every outcome means you're preparing. But if preparation never leads to action, if reflection never leads to movement, then what you're practicing isn't wisdom, it's avoidance. And here's what happens when you begin to cut these inner distractions out. You feel lighter. You gain back energy you didn't even realize you'd been losing. Your mind feels clearer, your focus sharper, your actions more decisive. You stop carrying the weight of imaginary futures and old regrets. You start living in the present, where real change can actually happen. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Silence grows where noise once lived. Confidence grows where doubt once ruled. Action grows where overthinking once paralyzed you. But make no mistake, this isn't about perfection. These inner distractions will always try to return. Self-doubt will still whisper. Regret will still call. Overthinking will still knock. The difference is whether you let them inside or leave them at the door. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The more you allow inner distractions to linger, the darker the dye becomes. But if you choose clarity, if you choose courage, if you choose to focus on what builds you rather than what drains you, your soul takes on a different color, one of strength, resilience, and calm. So cut out the thieves, both obvious and subtle. Guard your attention not only from the noise outside, but from the noise within. Because the greatest battles are not fought against the external world, they are fought in the quiet of your own mind. And if you win there, you can win anywhere. If you cut out distraction, you will find that you have more strength, more focus, and more freedom than you thought possible. And with that freedom, you can finally stay the course, no matter how long or how difficult the path ahead may be. And when setbacks come, because they will, don't stay down. Life guarantees that you'll fall, that you'll be knocked off balance, that plans will collapse no matter how carefully you built them. But falling is not failure. Failure only becomes real when you refuse to rise. Staying down, giving up, accepting defeat as the end, that's what breaks people, not the fall itself. Every rise, on the other hand, every decision to get back up, makes you tougher. It makes you wiser. It makes you unbreakable in ways comfort never could. Each comeback is proof that you're not done yet, that your spirit is stronger than the circumstances that tried to hold you down. Think about how many times you've faced something that seemed unbearable in the moment. At the time it felt overwhelming, but eventually you moved past it, and now you can look back and see how it shaped you. You may not have chosen those hardships, but by enduring them and rising from them, you became more resilient. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." The very weight that feels like it's crushing you today is the same weight that, if carried, will strengthen you for tomorrow. What once seemed impossible becomes survivable and then becomes part of your foundation. That's the paradox of setbacks. They try to break you, but in resisting them, you're forged into something stronger. The mistake many people make is believing that setbacks are a sign to stop. They treat a fall as a final verdict, proof that they're not capable. But setbacks are not proof of inadequacy. They're proof that you're in the arena. And here's the truth. Every comeback carries a lesson. Falling teaches you humility, but rising teaches you courage. Failing teaches you what doesn't work, but trying again teaches you resilience. Losing teaches you about vulnerability, but standing again teaches you about strength. Each time you get back up, you don't return as the same person. You return as someone harder to break. Aristotle believed that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. Rising after a fall is the purest act of courage because it requires you to face fear, shame, and exhaustion and keep moving anyway. Staying down, on the other hand, erodes your spirit. The longer you remain there, the heavier it becomes to stand again. Regret builds, doubt multiplies, self-trust weakens. That's why you must rise quickly, even if the steps are small. Each step is momentum. Each act of defiance against defeat rebuilds your confidence. The longer you wait, the more power the fall gains over you. But when you rise, even stumbling, you take that power back. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control the fall, but you always control the rise. There's also a hidden gift in setbacks. They strip away illusions. They show you where you're weak, where your foundation needs work, where your patience is thin. And while painful, that clarity is invaluable. Without setbacks, you'd never know where to grow. You'd never build the kind of strength that lasts. Jung believed that growth requires facing the shadow, the parts of ourselves we would rather ignore. Setbacks are one way life forces us to confront those shadows. They drag hidden fears into the open, forcing us to see them clearly. And once you see them, you can work through them. The people who achieve the most in life are not those who never fall. They are the ones who rise relentlessly. They treat setbacks as part of the journey, not the end of it. They see each fall as another opportunity to build strength. They understand that resilience is not given, but earned. It is earned every time you choose to rise. Seneca noted, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Without trials, you remain unpolished, untested, unready for the weight of a greater life. With them, you shine, because each one grinds away what is weak and reveals what is strong. So don't fear setbacks. Expect them. Accept them as inevitable parts of the process. What matters is not how often you fall, but how consistently you rise. Rise even when it feels pointless. Rise even when no one notices. Rise because each time you do, you remind yourself that you are not finished, that your story is not over. And remember, each rise is a victory in itself. Even if you don't yet see the results you want, even if the progress is small, The act of rising proves that your spirit cannot be broken. That proof is priceless. It is the foundation upon which all future progress rests. The world doesn't reward those who never fall. It rewards those who fall, rise, and keep moving until the result becomes undeniable. So when setbacks come, because they will, don't stay down. Falling isn't failure. Staying down is. Every rise, no matter how small, makes you stronger than you were before. Every comeback is proof that you are not finished, that you refuse to let the story end here. And if you rise often enough, if you rise relentlessly, you will one day look back and see that the falls weren't signs of weakness at all. They were the very steps that carried you into the strength you now stand in. Confidence is one of the first signs that the work is paying off. When you keep promises to yourself, when you follow through day after day, you begin to trust yourself deeply. That trust shows in how you carry yourself. It shows in how you approach challenges. Suddenly, you're no longer searching for someone to validate you, because you've already validated yourself through discipline. The shift in your relationships happens just as quietly, but just as profoundly. When you are grounded within yourself, you no longer seek to use relationships to fill a void. You stop clinging, stop bending yourself to gain approval, stop resenting others for not giving you what you haven't yet given yourself. Instead, you bring stability into every interaction. You bring presence, you bring clarity. People feel it. They sense the steadiness in you, and it makes your connections more authentic, more resilient. Your health, too, begins to shift when you turn your focus inward. Small decisions, like moving your body daily, eating with intention, or resting properly, no longer feel like chores. They become natural extensions of the respect you've built for yourself. You stop treating health as punishment and start treating it as a foundation. The discipline you've cultivated in your mind seeps into your body. Seneca wrote, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." Much of your well-being comes not from what you consume, but from the mindset you hold. By focusing on yourself, you align both body and mind, and in that alignment, you feel whole again. And perhaps the most profound change is in your vision. When the noise fades, when distractions lose their grip, when your attention returns fully to you, your vision becomes sharper. You see what matters more clearly. You stop chasing everything and start pursuing only what aligns with your deeper purpose. That clarity saves you from scattering your energy. It directs your steps with precision. The external follows this internal shift, because the world can only reflect back to you what you project. If you move through life uncertain, doubting, distracted, the world will mirror it, offering you instability, shallow connections, and fleeting opportunities. But if you move through life grounded, clear, and disciplined, the world will respond in kind. You will attract stronger people, clearer opportunities, and more aligned outcomes. This isn't mysticism, it's the natural consequence of inner transformation. What's remarkable is how interconnected all these areas of life are. Build your confidence, and you communicate differently. Improve your health, and you carry more energy into your work. Clarify your vision, and you attract relationships aligned with it. Each piece strengthens the other because they all originate from the same source, you. That is why focusing on yourself is never selfish. It is, in fact, the most generous thing you can do, because everyone connected to you benefits from your growth. But this change requires patience. At first, you may not notice much. Days of discipline can feel invisible. The early workouts, the quiet hours spent reading, the effort to focus inward, none of it seems to matter. But like roots beneath the soil, the effects are compounding. And when the tree finally breaks through, it seems sudden to everyone else, even though you know it was years in the making. Of course, setbacks will still come. Confidence will be tested. Relationships will face challenges. Health will fluctuate. Vision will sometimes blur. But when you've built yourself from within, those fluctuations don't break you, they bend you. They remind you that growth is not linear, that strength is not perfection, but resilience. And as you continue, you'll notice another shift: peace. Not the peace of having no problems, but the peace of knowing you can handle them. Not the peace of everything going your way, but the peace of being grounded enough to adapt when it doesn't. This kind of peace is rare, and it cannot be faked. It comes only from doing the work, from turning inward, from building yourself with patience and discipline until the external world no longer dictates how you feel. So over time, you'll notice something. By focusing on yourself, quietly, persistently, without apology, every part of your life begins to reflect that inner strength. Your confidence grows, your relationships strengthen, your health stabilizes, your vision sharpens. The external always follows the internal, and when it does, you realize that the life you've been chasing outside of yourself was waiting for you all along, hidden within, ready to emerge the moment you decided to focus on you until you win. Every step you've taken in silence, every setback you've overcome, every distraction you've resisted has been shaping this version of you. You didn't notice it at first, because growth is often invisible in the moment. But now, looking back, you see the evidence everywhere. You see how much calmer you've become under pressure. You see how much steadier you feel when doubt tries to creep in. You see how much more you trust yourself when you say you'll do something. And perhaps most importantly, you realize you've become someone who refuses to quit. That doesn't mean you never felt like quitting. It means you learned how to move even when quitting felt easier. You discovered that strength isn't the absence of weakness. It's the ability to keep going through weakness. Trust is another part of the prize. Not the trust others have in you, but the trust you have in yourself. That's the kind of trust you can't fake, and you can't buy. It's only earned by proving day after day that your word to yourself means something. Each time you followed through when you didn't feel like it, you cast a vote for the version of you that is reliable, unshakable, consistent. Over time, those votes became identity. And now you stand in it. You trust yourself fully. That self-trust is the foundation of unshakable confidence, because it tells you that no matter what life throws at you, you won't abandon yourself. And then there's the ability to stand alone. One of the hardest lessons in building yourself is realizing that not everyone will come with you. Some will doubt you, some will leave, some will resent the changes you make. But you kept walking, you kept building, and in that solitude you discovered a strength that only comes from standing alone without collapsing. What you find at the end of this journey is that external rewards, while meaningful, no longer define you. Success, money, recognition, they are valuable, but they are no longer the measure of your worth. Because now you know that the real prize was never outside. It was always inside. It was in the way you carried yourself, in the resilience you built, in the character you forged through discipline and patience. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing external prizes as your ultimate reward is the moment you start achieving more of them. Why? Because you no longer move from desperation. You move from clarity. You no longer act to be seen. You act because it aligns with who you are. And that authenticity carries power. People feel it. Opportunities flow to it. But even if they didn't, you'd still move with the same conviction, because the prize is already yours. So yes, one day you'll reach your goals. But when you do, you'll realize that the real prize wasn't the finish line. It was who you became along the way. It was the refusal to quit when quitting was easy. It was the self-trust built through countless promises kept. It was the ability to stand alone and keep walking. And it was the realization that strength doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from who you are when achievement is stripped away. That's the ultimate win, not the trophy, not the applause, not the recognition. The win is becoming someone you can trust completely, someone who cannot be broken by setbacks, someone who doesn't need the world to validate them because they've already validated themselves. That's the real prize, the strongest version of you. In the end, every struggle, every setback, every small victory has been shaping you into someone stronger than you realize. The true prize was never just the goal, it was the strength, the clarity, and the discipline you built along the way. So keep walking, keep building, and keep choosing yourself until you win. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to watch one of the videos now on your screen. It may be the exact reminder you need for the next step of your journey. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal, where we grow stronger, wiser, and more unshakable together.